What's up guys, my name is Morgan. I'm a recent UX design bootcamp graduate from Career Foundry, and today I want to talk to you about job hunting fresh out of a bootcamp. Spoiler alert, it sucks. There are just a few things that I would like to talk about before I get started on today's video. If you want to skip through this part and just get right into the content, I'll leave a timestamp down below. Firstly, I wanted to let you guys know that I created a very basic template for low fidelity wireframe sketching that you can just print out. I have one for Android, I have one for iPhone, I have one for iPad, and I have one for desktop. So there's a Google Drive link down below. You should have access to the folder and then just be able to download and print whatever it is that you guys need. If you have any problem with it, if it prints out weird, please let me know. I want to work on becoming a better UX design resource for people, especially you guys, the people who support my videos. So yeah, that's down below. You can just click the link. I don't need an email or anything like that. It's just free to use. Next, I don't know if you guys have realized, but I have been posting more consistently. I'm looking to take my YouTube channel more seriously, and I'm going to learn how to edit better, and I'm also looking for a camera. So if you guys have any recommendations on a good camera for obviously making videos, I'm also looking for a camera that's good at taking product photos. I know that's very specific, but I don't know anything about cameras. So if there's anything that you guys can recommend, please leave them down below. They would be greatly appreciated. Lastly, I'm looking to make shorter, more focused videos, like my last video. That's about 8 ways to finish your boot camp quickly. That got a pretty good reception, and it was one of my shorter videos. So I think I'm gonna start doing that from now on. They're easier to edit, and I think that people will watch them through more. If you prefer this format, please let me know. If you prefer the old format where I'm more in-depth and rambling for 30 minutes, let me know. All right, so let's actually get into today's topic. So job hunting sucks for everybody. It is usually not a good experience unless everybody wants you. C'est la vie. It's especially difficult for someone who's fresh out of a boot camp because chances are you're not in college. I graduated from college in 2020, so I don't qualify for a lot of internships. Then a lot of junior positions require, like 2 years of experience, so I don't qualify for the junior position. So it's really difficult to find a job fresh out of a boot camp. At least it is for me. Maybe a totally different experience for you. So I'm going to talk about that experience so far. First, let's talk about what types of jobs that I have found to be available. There are in-house designers, which is where a company hires you and you design for them. There's consultant positions, which is when you work for an agency and then that agency basically lends you out to their clients. So you might have a different client every week, you might work with a few accounts, but you're employed by the marketing agency and then you do the work for the clients. Then there's freelance, which is you lend yourself out to different clients. So you are your own entity, you work for yourself, and you're an independent contractor. It's in America we have 1099. I don't know what other countries are like. And then another one that I see a lot is temp to perm. So this is common because companies may be working on a project that they need a few more designers on, but don't have either the resources or the need to hire someone full-time. So what they do is they have temp to perm positions, which is when they'll bring you on for maybe a 6 to 12 month contract, and then if they like you and they like how you work with the team, they may hire you full-time. Next, let's talk about the different job levels. There's volunteer, intern, junior, mid-level, and then there's senior, lead, and principal. I don't think that you'd be going for any of those. If you do, more power to you. But volunteer is exactly what it sounds like. You work for free. There are internships where they may be paid or unpaid depending on the company, but generally you can expect a lot of mentorship from this position. Then there's junior, where on average I've seen companies expect you to have 2 to 3 years experience in order to be considered a junior designer. So I'm assuming that they expect you to have like 2 years of internships under your belt. I don't know. 2 to 3 years experience does not sound like a junior position to me, but. And then there's mid-level. So mid-level is the most common one. It's the one that most companies are looking for. They're looking for someone who, they're probably just looking for one designer. That's what I would expect because a lot of them don't put years of experience or anything, and it doesn't really seem like they know what they want. They want someone who can do it all. So that's the most common one that you'll see. It will just say that they're hiring a product designer or UX UI designer. but it's implied that you're mid-level with some experience. Now, by experience, some companies may just be looking for you to have general job experience. So if you were a senior graphic designer at your last company and then you did a boot camp to transition into UX UI design, there's a lot of transferable skills. Rogue, please. There's a lot of transferable skills there, and you could easily move into a mid to senior level position because you have those transferable skills and you've led your own team before and you have design experience. So it really just depends on you. It also depends on the company. So what types of jobs should you apply for? So I'm going to be looking off screen a bit because I have some equations here. So if you are inexperienced and you care about mentorship, and you're financially secure, like you may be living with your parents, you could be an in-house volunteer, you could do in-house internships or in-house junior position. The reason that I'm stressing in-house is because you generally gain a lot of mentorship. They usually have, when they're hiring for those positions, they have already a design team or at least one designer that you can learn from. If you're inexperienced or have some experience, care about mentorship, and could use the money, I would go for in-house junior designer. That's what I'm going for. So you can get that mentorship experience, but then also get paid. They're really hard to come by and they're really competitive. It's really hard to get, I'm not gonna lie. Next, if you're inexperienced, you don't care about mentorship, which is totally fine, and you're financially secure, I would look into freelancing. There's a lot of people who, including big companies, who want to use a freelancer because they don't have to pay them benefits or anything like that. They just want someone for a quick project and then they dispose of them and forget about them. It's a great way to build your portfolio. You can also work with small businesses. That's why I say if you're not concerned about money, you could be doing stuff with small businesses who may not be able to pay you a lot, but you feel like you could get great portfolio pieces out of until you can start charging higher. If you are inexperienced or have some experience and you don't care about mentorship, you could do literally anything, apply to anything. Rogue, please. You can do freelancing, consulting, apply to those mid-level positions I was talking about earlier, or you could do temp to perm. You could really apply to anything. If you just really don't care, you're just like, I just want to get out there, then yeah. Apply for anything. I'm a little bit more picky. So those are just basic guidelines. Obviously, if you read a job description that you feel like you're underqualified for, but you absolutely love the position, still apply to it. Who cares? What are they gonna do? Fire you? So it's really about exploring yourself and figuring out what it is that you need from a position. So what types of jobs should you not apply for? So I've come across quite a few red flags in my job search. Han Bang, so sorry if I said your name wrong. She has a great video on this. I'll link it down below. It's all about red flags. She has a lot more experience than I do. I'm gonna tell you about the ones that I've seen that I think that you should be wary of. I'm not saying to avoid it. You know, if your gut's telling you to go for it, then go for it. But I'm just gonna tell you, like, from my experience, these are things that maybe you should be concerned about. So the first thing is vague job descriptions. So this is when the company sort of tells you mostly about what they do and try to sell themselves, but don't really tell you like what your day-to-day would be like. To me, that's a red flag. I feel like a lot of this happened to me all the time when I was in marketing too, was people will disguise things. They'll put a title on it that says UX UI designer, but then they try to sell you an MLM. Just be careful, just do your research. Second is copy and pasting. So these can be pretty obvious when the spacing is off and it doesn't look like it was read through properly, or it's really generic, or you feel like it just doesn't apply to the company. Your gut should probably tell you. When people copy and paste, it can be because they just don't know what they want. It can be because they're lazy. It can be because it's a fake job posting. Just be careful. If something seems off, then trust your gut. Once again, this is all really about your gut feeling. When there's a scope of work outside of UX, I've seen people include marketing, I've seen people include coding, I've seen people include sales, and they slap a UX design label on it. And I can guarantee you that you will be miserable. Make sure everything is UX design focused. Sometimes people just don't understand what a UX designer is. Once again, just don't set yourself up to do work that you don't want to do. The last major one is no scope at all, but only soft skills. So I have seen job descriptions that just say,
I'm looking for someone smart and creative.
And it's like, okay, do I need to know Figma? So yeah, if they're looking for only soft skills, you're essentially setting yourself up for a shady position. So basically, the summary of these red flags is that if a company appears to not know what they want, it's because they're either trying to deceive you because they're being purposely vague, or they don't know what they want, and you're gonna set yourself up for chaos and basically a career path that leads to nowhere. Some other red flags that you should look out for that is really up to your discretion is startups. Startups that specifically say that they cannot consummate you. Startups that specifically say that they cannot compensate you. This is very common. There's a big hustle culture when it comes to startups, and they'll expect you to work all hours of the day for little to no pay. And then for all you know, they might drop you afterwards. I personally wouldn't do it unless I truly believed in what these people were doing, and I met the people and I trusted them. There would have to be a lot of factors to get me personally to do that. Next, once again, this is up to you, this is up to your discretion, but I don't send my resume to recruiters unless they give me a job description. So I'll have recruiters reach out to me constantly on LinkedIn, like every day. And they'll be like, send me your resume to this email. I've got some positions. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going, like I tell them, I'm like, I'm just wary of sending my resume, like my personal information to someone without even a job description first. And I just avoid it at all costs, because sometimes what recruiters will do is they'll take your resume, if they're a legit recruiter, by the way, like this is going off the fact that like you're assuming that they're not a scam. They will take your resume and they'll just blast it everywhere, which essentially just lowers the value of your resume. I know that sounds weird, but you could be getting phone calls and emails from people, like jobs that you never applied to, because this recruiter just started sending your resume everywhere. I wouldn't do anything without seeing a job description first. That's at least my rule of thumb. Of course, it's up to you. If you want your resume everywhere, cool. Lastly, this one is not up to your discretion, but watch out for scams. This is very common. I got 2 emails within the same week that were identical from scammers saying that I was awarded an interview for a company that I never applied to. It's fake. They're pretending to be recruiters. They'll make emails that look legit. They're called spear phishers. They are targeting you specifically. Which is another reason that I try to keep my resume private. The best way to find UX jobs, in my experience, LinkedIn has been the best way for me, because it's the most reliable, in my opinion. You can check out the company that has the job description up, and then you can also see the person, usually, like the recruiter that put the job posting up, so you can get an idea of what they're like. And then they can also see you and your personality, which personality is actually a huge thing in UX design, especially because you need to be collaborative and everything. So that's why I like LinkedIn. Then my second favorite way is word of mouth. So I actually got one of my interviews because my previous employers recommended me. And do that. Tell everybody that you've switched careers. Tell your old company, post it on social media, post it on LinkedIn. Let everybody know that you're changing careers, so that way if their friend has a business that needs a UX designer, it happened for me, so why couldn't it happen for you? So what do you need to apply? I recommend that you have a portfolio with at least 2 case studies, and I would recommend that one of those case studies is not part of your bootcamp. So I would suggest doing a design jam or working on some sort of personal project, so that way you don't have a portfolio that looks like everybody else. You should have a polished resume that, if you don't have work experience in UX design, put your design projects on there. Chun Buns has a great video on this. I will link it down below. I actually used her template to create my own resume. You should also have a LinkedIn profile. So like I said earlier, it's just a great way to connect with real recruiters and learn about a company and not have to go all over the place like you would on Indeed. Like you can actually just go straight to this company's social media, understand what they're about. And then it's also required for a lot of job applications, so I just really recommend that you have an active and information-filled LinkedIn profile. So what to do while you are waiting to hear back? I really recommend that you work on getting some more case studies up there, make yourself more competitive, and just improving your skills, of course. You should also like this video. That will definitely get you a job. You should also practice your interview questions. So I am actually going to have another video about interview questions and things that I have actually been asked. So look out for that video. That will come out within the next 2 weeks. You should also take this time to learn more about yourself. What are you actually looking for in a position? Don't just pick something to pick something. You should have some sort of goal. Even if you are desperate for a job, you should still have some sort of focus on what it is that you want from a job, because that's not just important for your job search, but interviewers look for that. Interviewers can smell from a mile away if you're bullshitting them. And then you can also be productive in other ways while you have this time. I'm assuming that you're out of your boot camp. Focus on some other things that you feel like would make you productive, even spending time with family, getting your finances together, paying your taxes. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit now about what my experience has been like so far. So I have been reached out to by a lot of recruiters and agencies that are trying to get me into consultant or freelance positions. So for the most part, I'm not interested in these because I am looking for a position where I can learn from some sort of mentorship or some sort of teamwork, and generally freelance and consulting don't necessarily work like that, generally. So I've had one phone screening for a junior product designer position, and it went well, and the recruiter that I was speaking to passed my resume along to the hiring manager, and unfortunately I did not get a second interview, but that's fine, I was underqualified. And then I just had a second interview for a marketing and user experience consultant position. I know what you're thinking, Morgan, you just said that you wouldn't do a consulting position. This is a special case where I spoke with the people who work there and they assured me that I would get incredible learning experiences there, and I believe them. And I think that it will be a great transition because it's marketing, which is my background, plus user experience. So I'm in a field that I'm comfortable in, and I'm able to use skills that I've just recently developed. So I think it'll be interesting if I get that position. I should find out for the next couple weeks. Whether or not I get it, I'll make a video about that experience. Since I've been applying, I've really just been working on my portfolio. I've told you before, I worked on a design jam. I'm taking a little bit of a break from designing and I'm focusing on other things like my YouTube channel. Like I said, I want to get those UX design resources going. I have a few ideas that I'll tell you guys about in the future that I'm really excited about. And I've also just been getting back into really focusing on my personal finances, getting back into stocks, just, you know, some more personal stuff like that. That isn't really related to this channel. If you guys are ever interested in that, I'll make a video about it, but it's not really related to UX. It's more just budgeting, investing, that kind of stuff. So if you guys have any questions at all about job hunting fresh out of a boot camp, please feel free to leave them down below. A lot of you like to reach out to me on LinkedIn, which is fine, but I would really appreciate if you guys left those types of questions in the comments so that way other people can see them. So that way I don't get my LinkedIn inbox blown up, and then other people can see it so that way they don't have to ask. So that would be really helpful. I would also appreciate if you guys gave this video a like if you found it helpful at all. And like I said, I'm going to come out soon with that video about interviewing fresh out of a boot camp. So I'm excited to make that, and I'll talk to you guys soon.